Yo, people, so Dana White's Contender series, we're week 5, right? Week 5, and I've got to say, whew, the last few weeks have just been fire, right? Week 1, yeah, it was a little, you know what I mean? But 2, 3, and 4? God, you know what I'm saying? Take my money, son. They were great. And week 5, yo, week 5 just delivered on those same levels. 5 fights, right? We had heavyweights, light heavyweights, you know what I mean? What feather, light, and the strawweights. The ladies make their introduction. And yo, that's where we started, right? It was Shanelle Dyer against Caroline Foro. And this fight was bonkers. Right? This fight was, you know what? It reminded me of oh gosh, it was the Mason Jones. Who did Mason fight at the weekend? It was Rotted. It was just the other day, and my mind has just completely disappeared on me. Fuck, I can't remember, people. But that was the fight, right? Because in that fight, Mason got put down. That's it, Balaji Oki. Mason got put down, what, 2-3 times? Got up. You know what I mean? And in this fight, Shanelle was dropped 3 times. And like with Mason, they looked ferocious, right? It wasn't little tippy taps. You know what I mean? But Shanelle got up. And what I will say is, when Shanelle Dyer got up, it wasn't desperation, right? There's sometimes people get rocked and they get up and they're all, you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, what's that saying goes? Everyone goes in with a plan, but once you get punched in the face, you know what I mean? And that's what we see a lot of times. But Dyer kept her composure and throughout continue to look for an opportunity to win the fight, right? She started off well using the kicks, using her range, but I think what the big difference was, Shanelle was, you know, throwing nice shots, kicks. She wasn't sitting down on her stuff. You know what I mean? So Caroline was able to walk through. And the minute she did and landed that first big shot that put Shanelle down, yo, her confidence just went through the roof, right? I think they, who was it? They equated Foro to Jessica Andrade. And you could definitely see those similarities. Like, she sits down on her shots, but she's not just throwing willy-nilly. You know what I mean? She was very tactical, pinpoint viciousness. And she brought it, right? She definitely brought it. This was a fantastic fight. And Caroline Foro did a tremendous job to get that win, you know? And it went the distance, but yo, you were just on the edge of your seat all the way through, you know? Both girls really delivered with this one, you know what I mean? So we then went to the lightweights, right? It was Chasen Blair against Samuel Sanches, and I believe Blair had been on the Contender before. And I think Sanches came out, right, throwing jabs, 1-2s, and you could see that Blair didn't really like that, right? But who wants to get punched in the face, right? I mean, there's some crazy motherfuckers that just thrive off that, right? That charges them. But, we saw Blair, it looked like Sanches had that power, right? So Blair, a vet, right? Savvy, was like, okay, what is the best way for me to win? And he gets the clinch, he gets the back, right? Gets the back, jumps on. And, looking for that control, looking to get a rear naked. Doing a decent job. I possibly could have got it on many people. But Sanches, it showed he studies, right? He's got that understanding because, the way he backed up onto the fence, right, to dislodge Blair, so he only had to, look after one of the hooks, right? So he got that hook free. And once one hook's out, it's easier to maneuver and get the person off your back. And that's what he did. And the moment Blair was off Sanchez's back, Sanches turned around and unleashed hell. Oh my days, right? I think he hit him with a right hook, stunned him. Then the left just put him down, right? Just put him down. And the way Blair just crumbled, it was like, oh my days. Oh my days, right? That was ferocious. And I think Sanches is like 22. You know what I mean? That was fire. That was fire. So it's funny because the other day, right, I just saw something. I didn't really look into it, but I just saw someone had missed weight by a lot. And I was like, ooh, that's never a good look. Right? Most of the time, if you lose weight, if you miss weight, you do not get a contract. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was the light heavyweights, right? We have Felipe Franco against Freddy Vidal. And then you learned out it was Freddy Vidal, and Freddy Vidal is a Cerro Longo fighter. And I'm just like, man. Because, I don't know, people. There's just something about the Cerro Longo camp, right? Their group of fighters. When you just look at those motherfuckers, like Matt Serra started it all, obviously. Then you had Chris Weidman, Aljamain Sterling, and now Marab Dalashvili. Champions, right? For a camp to have 4 champions, you know what I mean? And when you listen to the cornering that Matt and Ray give their fighters, it's phenomenal, right? The way they support each other is tremendous. So it was a little bit like, fuck. And this fight was, I don't know, it was a crazy fight. Like Franco came out, he was obviously the favorite, and he gets a big takedown on Vidal, which is interesting. Vidal is, I think he's a wrestling coach at high school, right? He's a football coach, a wrestling coach. I think he does something else, man. He's a busy motherfucker, you know what I mean? But he gets a big takedown. And it was a slam into side control. And, he's looking for things. Not a lot of ground and pound, right? So then Vidal reverses. I think there was a minute and a half left. And just starts dropping elbows, like shots. Had him in a crucifix a couple of times, looking for a Kimura. He was putting up punishment. I think, right, Vidal probably won that first round. But we go into the second round. Oh my days. Both were so tired. Oh, it started to get to Slop City, right? just put Joe on the end because yeah, this was a sloppy mess, right? They were so tired. They're both winging shots and missing. You know, it was pretty much a pick 'em until Franco got a takedown towards the end of the round. You know, that basically sealed that round for him, but there wasn't anything significant thrown, really. You know what I mean? And again, when Franco got the takedown, he still didn't drop much ground and pound or anything, right? So third round, and again, like the third round, well, in between rounds, right? It really just showed that Cerro Longo spirit because Ray, man, he just gave Vidal a frigging pet. Like, because Vidal's so tired, right? At the end of the first, again at the end of the second, he's on his knees when the round has stopped. Like, you need to be up. First of all, it's optics for the judges, but you want to get to your corner ASAP so you can get that water, you can get that advice, you know what I mean? Get a little breather. So, it's not about fucking around on your knees. And Ray's like, get the fuck up, right? And he just gave him this great talk. And third round, still sloppy, right? Still sloppy. Franco, he gets a takedown. But like in the first, Vidal's able to reverse it. And like in the first, Vidal is the one dropping ground and pound, right? He's doing his thing, trying to get the finish, right? You can hear, Stephen Lee and Ray Longo shouting, being like, yo, you got 90 seconds left, 1 minute left, yo, drop it, right? And I would say Vidal, good control on the top. Really good control on the top. You know what I mean? And for a dude that big, and especially at this point, so fucking tired, right? So Franco is trying to get up in a transition. Vidal, he's now on the back, right? And he's got the neck. Now, it's an odd one because Franco's kind of on the side, right? But we've definitely seen, people being able to get those chokes and not be in full control, right? Chimev, when he choked out Robert Whittaker, right? And I think there was literally seconds left, and Franco, I think it was a verbal tap, but yeah, it was over. Vidal got the win, which was, you figured he won that third round, right? But you missed weight, so you need to win with something. And pulling out that rear naked was definitely something, right? So that was great. That was a huge win. Oh man, and just seeing like Aljamain, I think Pooney was in there. You know what I mean? I think that was our like just celebrated. It was great to see. That was great to see. You know what I mean? So we then went to the featherweights. We had Cam Teague, right, returning against Lerryan Douglas, I think you pronounce it. I would say Cam Teague looked like a smaller Shara Bullet. You know what I mean? Looked like a smaller Shara Bullet with two eyes, right? So that was funny. But Teague came out, right? He pushed forward straight away, throwing kicks, like body, head, leg, trying to mix it up. But then, you know what I mean? Like Douglas threw a leg kick. And like with a lot of things, there's levels. And the difference between the leg, like Douglas's leg kick nearly put, Teague on his ass. You know what I mean? There's power in that. And I think then Douglas, who notoriously a slow starter, right? He then just was like, you know what? Came forward and landed a thunderous, thunderous right hand, right? And who puts Teague down, puts him down, right? And credit to Teague, Teague did get up, but then Douglas just smacks him again. I think it was an overhand left, and it was done. And another ugly one. There's Teague went down. Teague went down. But boy, I think Douglas's win, I think they said it was the third fastest in Contender history. You know what I mean? Because it was vicious. Oh my days, it was vicious. So then that led us to our headline fight, right? Heavyweights. And Antonio Guarascio against Stephen Asplund. And it was funny, right? Because Asplund, you're in the little vignette, that they often play before. He was just like, it's like trailer park against trailer trash. Which I thought was amusing, right? And I think, I don't know, like Guarascio kind of was like, yeah, I'm going to fuck him up. I think Asplund was like, yo, I think I can do it. But he was also like, yo, we're both good heavyweights. We both got power. Hey, I'm going to enjoy testing myself. You know what I mean? And they came out throwing. I was a little bit like, what's going to happen here? Because Asplund did have his chin up high, right? But, man, they were winging shots. And as Guarascio came forward, Asplund hit him with this, just on the point, shuffle uppercut. Woo-wee! Right? Just hit him. Guarascio went down. I landed a couple more, and that was done. I think they said that was the fourth fastest finish in Contender Series, right? It was, oh boy, these fights were so insane. Now, before all was said and done, right, what I thought was going to happen, you figured Sanches, Forto, Sanches, Douglas, and Asplund would all get contracts, right? Now, there was a thought about Vidal. Now, I thought, right, because I think he's only 3 professional fights. You know what I mean? He's only been fighting professionally, I think, 11 months. So he's so green, right? So I thought maybe it's a Chase Hooper situation, right? Or you bring him back, right? You bring him back for another shot. Because that's happened so many times. You know what I mean? And usually it's when someone's had a really quick finish. You know what I mean? Or because I think a few times it's because they are so green. It's like, all right, let's see it again. Bo Nickel did it. You know what I mean? Carl Bahayo did it. Several people have done it, right? And so when Dana was handing out the contracts, that's what he did, right? Because, and this was short notice. I think he took this fight on a week, right? Which was another reason he missed weight. But yeah, Dana said, we're going to give you a shot on the last episode of the series, so that gives you time to properly prepare, and I think that's fair, because the fight was sloppy as fuck, right? They both gassed out in the like terribly gassed out in the second, you know what I mean? So I think that was a really fair decision. There's also, he's 3 fights in. You know what I mean? You do not want to get to the big show and then lose every fight and then you're gone. Right? So, look, we've seen some people come back, right? Reese McKee, Mason Jones, Modestas Bukauskas, they made their way back. Not every, like Brandon Moreno is the big one, right? But not everyone does it. So, hey, you want to be fully prepared for when you get there. So I think giving him one more fight, and that's great. That's great. Now, obviously, right, the other people that got contracts, Sanches got a contract, Douglas got a contract, Asplund got a contract, which you were just like, obviously, those dudes are getting contracts. And Caroline Forto got one, which, you know, you thought was a clear bet. Now, what was interesting, and I loved it, Shanelle Dyer's in too. Right? Shanelle Dyer's got herself a contract. And that's great because, you know, as Dana said, to have a great fight, you need both people stepping up. And the fact that Dyer got knocked down 3 times, but got up every time, and in that last round was doing everything to try and get a win. You know, try and get a finish. I think that speaks volumes. So it is fantastic. She got a contract, you know. So yeah, this was another fire week. I think what it definitely shows people though, right? I think the Vidal situation shows anyone outside the UFC doing their thing on the regionals, right? If you're winning and you're being impressive and you're looking good, always stay in fight shape, right? Always stay close to your fight weight, because a last minute opportunity may arise and you want to be able to make weight, right? Because even if you get, you know, called up to a pay-per-view, a fight night, right? If you miss weight and lose, chances are you're not coming back, right? It's back to the regionals. If you make weight and lose, they'll keep you, you know? So, and if you make weight and win, then boom, fire, right? You just showed your grit. You showed what you can do. You know, just put yourself in the best position possible when an opportunity is there. That's the big thing, right? But, you know, Vidal's got a second chance, and we're moving to week 6, right? Halfway. And I cannot wait, because as I said, these last few weeks have been phenomenal. So let's see what happens. And boy, this week, woo, you know what I mean? We got not just UFC, we have got Crawford Canelo, and I think I saw there's an EBI on Sunday. So man, this is a great fucking week, right? PGF, I believe that will be taking place too on Thursday. So man, so much to look forward to. And I think the Commandos are playing on Thursday night. So yeah, people. You know what I mean? Hey, but yeah, we'll be back to preview UFC Nacho and Crawford Canelo. So keep an eye out for that.